Now, the last time you were on the program, we talked about one of Donald Trump's big former donors sitting out the 2020 election. And that certainly seemed consequential, but it was clear that that doesn't mean that the Republicans and Donald Trump won't have big donors. And in one of your most recent articles, you broke down one area where these donors tend to come from. Can you tell us what you found?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a story about Hollywood. Well, while I've got my entertainment reporter hat on, we might as well go the full Monty here. But Republicans, Donald Trump, many people running for the Senate and the House on the Republican side, they make such a big deal about liberal, awful, terrible, evil Hollywood. So we wanted to kind of go in the other direction to see, well, of course, Democrats get a ton of support from Hollywood, but do Republicans get support too? The easy answer is yes, not to the degree that Democrats do, but to a significant degree, and not just in terms of campaign money, but also in terms of various other realms, the lobbying world, for example, people who are supporters of the Republican Party. And Jeffrey Palmer is a name that may not be a household name, but somebody who lives in the very famous 90210 zip code. He's about as Hollywood as it gets, even though he's a real estate mogul, not an entertainment mogul. But consider him a real estate mogul to the stars, if you will. And he has put down $6 million so far to the benefit of Donald Trump, going to a super PAC that's supporting Donald Trump called America First Action, and that's some real scratch. And we added up the numbers. We analyzed all the zip codes from in and around Hollywood, Bel Air and Beverly Hills and Hollywood itself. And what we came up with is examples of millions upon millions of dollars that come from people who live in that area from Tinseltown and has gone to either the Trump campaign, Trump super PACs, different Republican political committees, different Republican political candidates. And so it's real. So every time you hear Republicans say, oh, Hollywood is so terrible, you might want to ask the question, well, is that particular Republican actually getting money from Hollywood? And the answer may very well be yes, he or she is.
You said that that Dems get more money, but that it's still significant, the money that goes to the Republican Party. Do we have a rough idea of about the split?
So it's impossible to tell exactly, percentage wise what the split is, in part because some of the smaller dollar donations aren't necessarily a matter of public record. But if I'm eyeballing it here, but we're probably talking about 70 to 80 on the Dem side, and maybe about 20 or 30 on the Republican side, especially when you have some of the big donors like a Jeffrey Palmer giving donations that are measured not in 4 or 5 or even 6 figures, but 7 figures. It's pretty easy to see after you add a few of those up that the Republicans are definitely getting some significant support from Hollywood that is reflected in the reports that are being filed by the committees that are receiving that money.
Yeah. So obviously, they're not against taking the money. So there has to be something else at play as to why they tend to focus on this so much. And there were references to Hollywood even at the RNC just a little bit ago, which seems weird for a number of different reasons, including that Donald Trump starred on a TV show. He's appeared in any number of different movies. Of course, Ronald Reagan came through in the same way. And it's not like, I'm not a big Trump supporter. I don't necessarily know every way that they think about everything. It's not that they like Donald Trump despite the fact that he was on television and all of that. They seem to love that aspect of him. So why the simultaneous demonization of Hollywood while embracing politicians who were in Hollywood, and then Fox News bringing on people like Dean Cain and other sort of former actors? They seem to want part of this while simultaneously hating it. What do you think that's about?
Yeah, well, it kind of fits in a way with how Donald Trump operates, where sometimes he can hold two opposing thoughts in his mind and argue both sides and make it all seem logical. We've seen this time and time again with different policies, different political positions. It's not anything new. Even when we talk about money and politics, Donald Trump came out of the gate saying, I am never going to take any money from anyone. I am my own billionaire. I'm my own man. I don't need your money. And now Donald Trump hasn't given a dime to his reelection campaign and is relying exclusively on other people's money. As it applies to Hollywood, I mean, we talked about Donald Trump having a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Donald Trump is as Hollywood up as it really gets. You mentioned some of the movies that he was in, TV shows. I mean, heck, Donald Trump is in the WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment Hall of Fame by virtue of his appearances on that show and in the acts that he would put on with Vince McMahon, the leader of WWE. And oh, by the way, Vince McMahon's wife, Linda McMahon, served in the Trump administration and is leading that super PAC that we mentioned before, America First Action. So,
is she really?
She is.
I did not know that.
You know, the connections, the ties, the interplay, the around and around of all of this. Sometimes it doesn't meet the eye, but it's there. It's real, and it serves to reason in a very major way that Hollywood is a convenient whipping boy for Donald Trump and many Republicans. But at the same time, too, they're going to endear themselves and connect themselves with Hollywood. And I would just mention too that that does extend to sort of the policy debates that are going on right in the here and now. The Motion Picture Association of America, okay, big lobby, a lot of money. Who's one of their top lobbyists? A guy by the name of Brian Ballard. Who's Brian Ballard? Well, one of Donald Trump's top fundraisers, who's working on behalf of one of Hollywood's biggest lobbying groups in an effort to get policy and get bills passed that are going to be advantageous to Hollywood.
Interesting, yeah. It would be interesting to see if you were to talk to some of these very wealthy people in Hollywood that are giving actively to Trump, what they think about it. I'm sure that they found some way to square the demonization with the fact that they live there and support him, but that would be interesting too. Very fascinating work. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.